How's it going, everybody? And welcome back to another episode of the MC Show. Today, be joining me, Andrew from Retroactive. How is it going, man? Thank you so much for taking the time to hang out with me today.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Happy to be here.
I know you're dying to talk about Kraven, man. I know like you're just itching to go see that this week. It's like your all-time, top film of 2024. I know how much you love Madam Web, how much you love Morbius, and you're just ready to get in there and see that stuff.
I've got a seat booked every day for 7 days. I'm gonna see it as looks.
Well, apparently your theater's sold out somehow. When my theater opening day only has like 4 showings available.
Sold out. Yes.
So I don't know how. But I guess since we're kind of already on it, we were kind of that was gonna be a later topic, but I guess we can go ahead and like jump right into it when it comes to Kraven, because I'm honestly very intrigued to see your overall thoughts for this. But apparently, it is Kraven the Hunter week. It's coming out this Thursday, and then I'm hearing that a lot of theaters are actually dropping it the week up because they're like, we'll make a lot more money making money off movies like Wicked and Moana because it's the holiday season, and December is known to be more of a movie-going time of the year for all the families, so they're not really going to take their kids to go see a rated R film, especially for a universe that has completely tanked since the first Venom movie. So I found that very interesting, and then also like my theater, like I mentioned earlier, it only has 4 showings the entire day, opening day on Thursday. I'm going to it because it's Marvel. I'm a sucker. I have to see everything Marvel. But I thought it was very interesting that there's only 1 showing. Is that the same experience you're seeing? Apparently, like I said, your thing is completely sold out, which I don't know how that's possible.
Let me preface that whole situation. So, as we were talking a little bit before the show, literally for my local theater, the AMC at Disney Springs, that one wasn't even showing any showtimes listed up until like a day or two ago. I kept checking and checking and checking, and it was showing, when the tickets finally went on sale like a week or two ago. I kept checking, and there was nothing. Just so even if I'm not 100%, if I'm going to be able to go because I have A-list, I like to book in advance. That way, I have my seat and everything locked in for me or whatever. And I couldn't do it. And then it finally popped up yesterday or the day before. And surprisingly enough, it's showing in Dolby, which, we love doing Dolby and everything like that. But it was showing 2 showings every day for like the first week of 7:30 and 10. But every single 7:30 showing for the entire week is listed as sold out, and I just don't believe that at all.
Absolutely
especially not for that theater, because it's one of, if not the biggest theater in the whole complex. And but if I am gonna make myself sit through this, it's good to know that I can
make yourself sit through. Bro, what the sad part is? I strongly feel like I know Madam Web, Morbius, Venom. I mean, the first Venom, I think, and that's not saying much, is the best out of the 3. That trilogy wasn't that great, but it's a guilty pleasure of mine. I still do, except the third one. The third one, usually because it's a Marvel movie, I'm in love with it regardless what it is. And I walk out theater, and then like as the week goes on, I find things I hate about it. No, from that movie, I was with you. We all agreed that movie was complete horse crap. It was not a good time. But the sad thing is, I think Kraven actually has the opportunity to be the best thing that Sony has done, because it's Aaron Taylor Johnson, which I love him. He's a great actor. The trailer does look appealing, which, they can make a good trailer because they did a good trailer with, what was it, Morbius? Morbius looked like it wasn't going to be a good movie, and then we all saw that turned out. But I think Kraven has the potential to be the best product that Sony has made in their Spider-Man universe, Spider-Man, but yet nobody's going to go watch it. Theaters are, completely dropping it. That means it's not going to do good in the box office. And Sony, according to Brandon Davis, is already going on saying that this is potentially the last movie in their whole universe that they created without Spider-Man. So I think that's unfortunate, because I do think that this movie does have an opportunity to be a decent film. So I'm a little excited to see it, but I just don't think it's going to end well.
Yeah, I'm with you, like, especially on the whole Aaron Taylor Johnson thing. I feel so bad for that guy.
Real.
Like, every franchise that he attaches himself to, something happens. Like, obviously we know what happened with Avengers, and then he was a part of, the first Godzilla film. He was not brought back for the sequel. I'm not saying that was a him thing. They went in a completely different direction after the first movie, as far as like focusing on other people, which is fine, whatever. I like those movies, but I was still kind of bummed that he didn't come back, and I felt bad for him. He's had like a couple of, anything that he's been in that is even remotely considered like a hit, in most cases, it's not even his film. He's more like, a side character, or it's like an ensemble piece type of thing. Like, even though this movie might not have done super well in like theaters and stuff like that, something that was like reviewed very well, Bullet Train.
Dude, that movie was fantastic.
That movie is like surprisingly good.
Even I forget the actor's name. He's in Eternals. They're the brothers, and they call each other twins, and they're completely different, like different races and everything, and they call each other twins. I'm just like, Jesus,
the twins, and then they're like, yeah, we're not gonna explain this, but.
And then there's Kimiko's randomly from The Boys. She's randomly in that movie. She's the girl with the cart. I didn't know that until like we went to Spook Halloween, met her, and like she had stuff there from the movie. I'm like, wait, she was in Bullet Train? She's the girl with the cart. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, that's it. Like I said, that one's a big like ensemble movie. There's so many people in that, but yeah, it's like I said, it's just super unfortunate because he's definitely a solid actor. If we hadn't had so many misses from this universe before, I'd probably be way more hyped on this movie. Like, if I was able to take away everything that we understand about the Spider-Man-less universe of Sony, and let's say this was like one of their first ones, even if it was like after Venom 2 or something like that, I'd probably be like way more hyped on it than I am right now. And the fact that we pretty much understand that this is the end of the road for this universe, on top of everything that has come before, for the most part, we're just like, who cares? You know what I mean? Like it's
crazy that this is the final thing, because they just set up all this stuff with Null and Venom 3, like that he's supposed to be like their version of Thanos, and they're gonna have some build up towards it. But now it's like, no, I think Sony realized
maybe at the end of this movie, I was gonna make like a Galactus joke, but I forgot about the Null thing. Like maybe at the very end, Null just shows up and he kind of pulls the Galactus and just destroys everything, and then he just like pops up in the MCU or something like that.
But I don't know if you saw this. I think it was last week, or it was just recently. Andy Serkis, he just pretty much said that, yeah, Sony doesn't really have a plan. They just called me up and asked me to come in one day. They're like, it might go somewhere, it might not. Do you know who Null is? He's like, yeah, I know who Null is. So they literally just sent him up to do it. Like, they have no direction.
It was a super bizarre choice, in my opinion, like to just bring on Andy Serkis to do the third movie, directing wise. It's not that he's a bad director. He's a good director and he's really good at filmmaking. It was just such a weird choice out of the blue to just now be like, yeah, we're going to bring him on for this movie. And then that's got to be the most disappointing, like, and I know it really has nothing to do with him for the overall spectrum with Venom 3, but I'm super disappointed that that's even on his resume now as a director and stuff like that. That's very disappointing. But yeah, it's pretty crazy. The Andy Serkis thing reminded me, he had some interview, I don't know if it was at a con or whatever, but he was talking about, it just kind of reminded me when he got Gollum way back in the day, and he got the offer. They're like, he was saying that, they want you for this role for Lord of the Rings. He's like, oh, cool. Like, what is it? And they're like, well, it's actually going to be more of a voice role. And he's like, are you kidding? There's literally like 100 characters I could be, and they want me to just do a voiceover. And then they're like, it's Gollum, and he goes, oh, okay, I can do that. He's like, so I just thought that was funny. It just made me think of it. But
they should have like introduced the idea of Noel in the first Venom movie, and then slowly build up, and then like the third movie could have been that would have been.
It just shows that they never had a plan from the get.
They were just trying to mimic the MCU without Spider-Man, and like they were doomed from the start, unfortunately.
One of the reasons I'm glad that this is coming to an end, like assuming it is some of the spin-off movies that they were trying to set up. Like they had one that I can't even remember the character's name, but they had Bad Bunny attached as the lead.
It's the
like
one,
El Morta or something like
that.
Yeah,
El Morto.
Okay,
yeah, the wrestler.
That one. I was like, I'm sorry, who is this character? And why? And like you just got Bad Bunny because of the name recognition. He's literally acted in one thing, and I don't think he spoke when he did it. I'm pretty sure it was actually Bullet Train, if I remember correctly. He pops up in Bullet Train towards the beginning and tries to kill Brad Pitt.
Wasn't he one of the killers?
Yeah, he was one of the killers who tried to kill Brad Pitt, and I don't even think he talked, if I remember correctly. But so I'm not saying he can't do it, but he doesn't really have, the repertoire, if you will, to carry an entire movie, let alone possibly a franchise going forward. And then some of the other ones they wanted to do, like Black Cat, There was some series that were going to tie
Black
in.
Cat made sense. That
Black
they
Cat,
could have
yes,
done a good
Black
movie.
Cat does make sense. I just, because we saw the groundwork that was laid, I didn't want them to waste those characters. You know what I mean? Like the good Spider-Man characters but that's the thing. Black Cat's a really good character, but Black Cat also needs to work off of Spider-Man.
Yeah, I could see maybe a show or something, like a little spy show that she has. If they give like the Penguin type vibe,
yeah, because I think that one was going to be a show because they had a show for that one and
Silver Sable, I think it was.
Yeah, Silver Sable were the two that were in. And you know, we talk a lot of shit about Sony. Yes, there are a couple things that they've done right, mostly the Into the Spider-Verse thing, but that's because they've just given the reins to a creative team and kind of been like, do what you got to do. And that's what I think Sony messed up with this. I don't know if they gave the keys to the wrong people. I don't know if it's just because they didn't have
Sony is the wrong people.
So Sony's the wrong people. It's like, but at the end of the day, it's like if we didn't have Sony, we wouldn't have Into the Spider-Verse, and that would be a travesty, in my opinion, of animated, let alone just film in general. Losing those two movies. I am curious to see what's going to happen with the whole Spider-Man noir thing, even though that is completely separated.
Yeah. That's also completely out of left field and very random.
Yeah, I do love that it's happening, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's Nicolas Cage. We can't get enough of Nicolas Cage.
I'm going to absolutely watch the shit out of that show. I don't care if it's any good.
I can't. Speaking of Nicolas Cage, I forget what it's called. It's kind of like a different version of Five Nights at Freddy or Willy's Wonderland or something like that. With a minute.
Yes.
I watched that. He doesn't have a single line of dialogue throughout that entire film.
And I bet it's one of his best performances.
It was so, like, me and Shannon were sitting back watching, like, what the hell are we watching? But like, we were so intrigued by it. But he said absolutely nothing. He just made faces and grunted throughout the entire movie and killed these possessed animatronics at this old pizzeria. But like, he said not a single word. I'm like, is this really where his career is coming down to? That's unfortunate.
That's pretty fun. That, you know, I remember watching a few things about Nicolas Cage and like people talking about the way he acts and the, you know, the level of energy he puts into some things that, like, even though it always seems over the top or like he's going way too big. And I forget the type of acting that it's based off of, but he's like, when I say classically trained, I mean like he's referring back to like yesteryear acting, like, you know, you're talking the early days, whether you go back to like the 40s, the 50s, the black and white, where they had to go big with everything, and apparently that's what he grew up on. And so that's what he like emulates sometimes. So those times when he's like, yeah, just like going absolutely ape shit, that's just like the way he was taught and the way he learned to act and stuff like that has just carried over to his entire career. But you know what, at the end of the day, I'm not going to love everything Nicolas Cage does, but there's just something about Nicolas Cage that I root for.
You watch it anyway.
Yeah, I root for him every time he's on screen.
You know, he's a I guess you would say he's a national treasure. He's
yes, absolutely.
He's our Ghost Rider. He's all of it. You know, it's Nicolas Cage. And Unknowing, I love that movie. The one with like the angel in the world, like that was a really good movie. But getting back to Kraven, I love that we always just kind of derail and get off topic every time. But you know, as much as we crap on Sony, I will give them the benefit of the doubt. They at least tried. They tried to give us films and series off characters we wouldn't get, and like the MCU couldn't have the time to do it. So like we would never see a Kraven movie. I think out of all of them, the only one that we would obviously have seen was some form of Venom movie or show or something. But it was atrocious, but we would never got an attempt at Madam Web. We would never get an attempt at Morbius. They would just been like little cameo characters we would see here and there. So I'll give them that. But it really does feel like that they were just making these movies because I don't know if it counts. I'd have to look more into it, but I know they have that thing with every it's like every 2 or 3 years a Spider-Man
production to keep the license. Yeah.
I don't know if it's specifically a Spider-Man movie or it can be an adjacent movie. Because there's all that a few weeks ago they were talking about by the time Spider-Man 4 comes out, it might come out past their contract time. So if they don't get it out sooner, they might lose the rights to Spider-Man and it'll automatically go back to Marvel.
Yeah, I don't think it matters of when the movie comes out. Depends on the contract, but how it was during the Fox era with all of those Marvel properties was a movie had to be in active development for X number of time.
Yeah, and then they had like 5 years to get it out.
Okay, I didn't know. I didn't know about the second half of that because they're in the very early days of them getting the Marvel license. There was a Fantastic Four film that never saw the light of day, and that was like very cheaply done and stuff like that. And it was essentially made for them to keep on the Marvel license. But this is also back in the '90s, where it might have been a different scenario at that particular point in time. But literally, it just was made for them to be able to hold on to the license longer. And I mean, I guess it's a good thing that that happened because we got so many movies because of it. That one just in particular was just kind of like a throwaway, like we got to do this to do it, you know.
Well, the crazy thing about that, No Way Home was 3 years ago this month, which is crazy. Like, I feel like that movie's still new. But that would make sense because the whole 5-year gap, because that movie was 3 years ago, it still has to go into production. Movies take at least 6 months to film, and it's a Spider-Man movie, so it might take even longer. They got reshoots. And then, so, like,
and the amount of post-production in a movie like that is...
They have like a year and a half before they have to get it out. And so I think that's why they're stressing that they might lose the license for it and whatnot. There was like
at this point, let it happen. You know what I mean? Like,
go back. If anything, you know, let Disney MCU do their thing with Spider-Man and just tell them where to write the check.
Yeah, exactly.
Let them have control. That way, everybody wins. You still get to keep your IP, and we get actual decent Spider-Man movies and Spider-Man adjacent movies. Because the thing is, they have such an awesome character catalog. They can make so many great series. And they have access to so many great like stories and whatnot.
Yeah, can you imagine if the MCU had the ability to access the catalog of Spider-Man adjacent characters and stuff like that, like what they could do with that? It's insane.
Yeah, I'm trying to like they can do I mean, Spider-Man's whole catalog is equivalent to Batman's, so there's so many like freaking villains that they can make off.
That's like a bulk of the like A-list Marvel villains and stuff like that is technically Spider-Man villains. So that's why, like, especially in the early days of the MCU, they were really pulling at strings, if you will, like having to hit that like third tier type of Marvel characters as far as finding villains to set these things up. Because even if you go all the way back to the first Iron Man film, the fact that the MCU was set upon Iron Man, Thor, and Captain America, the closest thing to an A-list comic character they were doing was Captain America. The other ones,
they were
more like B level, possibly C level, to build up the first Avengers film. So it's crazy that they were able to create a universe off these characters that at the time no one gave a shit about.
And when it comes to Sony, I think that because the first Venom movie made a lot of money, so I think they kind of just took that and ran with it.
Yeah,
it as people like what we're doing.
We can do this now.
People just like Venom, and it was the very first Venom movie, so people are gonna go watch it. Mm-hmm. Like, do you remember when that very first trailer for that movie came out, and there was no CGI for Venom? Do you remember that trailer?
No CGI for Venom.
Back in 2018, when they put out if you look at the very first Venom trailer. There's no CGI and Eddie's doing all the stuff he does when he's turning into Venom, like when he's shaking in the MRI and all that stuff. But they
didn't actually have Venom like
they didn't have any, and they had all the stuff with Riot destroying stuff, but he wasn't actually in the trailer, and people were like, "What is this?"
Yeah. I think I remember that now that you mentioned it. It was
that should have gave us told us all we need to know about this universe. Honestly, like they can't.
Well, it was because it was like they were trying to set up the first Venom movie almost like a horror film. Type of thing, like like it was a possession type of thing, like that went into this like action. It was a weird hodgepodge thing, but it really, if I remember correctly, because of the way they set up that trailer, it felt very like weird and dark and everything like that. And they're like, we're doing this like real dark take on Venom, and then it comes out and it's just like, they're cracking jokes left and right. So
I agree, Kennedy. I don't know what's going on with the third Spider-Verse film because Kennedy said he hopes that the rights are back to Marvel, but after the Spider-Verse film, that one's also been back and forth too. Who knows when we were supposed to get that almost 2 years ago?
Even if
a year and a half ago,
that's one of those things. So like when the movie came out, it was like part 2, if you will, coming.
It was supposed to be the next year,
or it was 2 years later. I can't remember if it was like. Let's say the movie came out in 2022, I think it was, or 2023. I can't remember. And it was supposed to be, let's say 2023, and it was supposed to come out in 2025. like listed for like 2 years later or something like that. At the farthest, it was one or the other. And but the problem was Sony did. I know that was Sony's decision to say that. At the time, they hadn't even like really started on it. Like they probably had the groundwork for it, but they hadn't even recorded any audio or set anything up really, other than probably the basics of the story. So I'm fine with them taking their time to get the third one out. We had a few years between the first and second movie, so I'm not a problem. And I don't think, even if the rights revert back to Disney at that point, it's not going to affect the ability of this movie coming out. That's an easy, money making thing for whoever owns the rights or whoever is able to release the film. It's not just going to disappear, and they are working on it. Like, it's just these types of movies, especially something like Spider-Verse or something like
the
that,
heavy animated ones.
It takes time. Like, it takes, arguably, it can take more time than a live action film does to be made, especially with this type of animation and the mixture of animations that they use. So I'm all for them, taking their time if it's necessary.
Kennedy, you mean you didn't like the third Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movie? You didn't like emo Spidey dancing down the hall? That's like peak Marvel right there. Like that is Infinity War, Spider-Man 3. Like, come on. Don't disrespect. And we got what? Topher Grace, Venom? Come on.
What an interesting choice, man.
That was again, Sony's gonna Sony.
Yeah, but what an interesting choice with that whole situation. It would be so funny to see him come back in like Secret Wars or something like that. It's not going to happen. It would be absolutely.
They would have Tom Hardy before.
It would be Tom Hardy, 100%. It would be funny if you just saw Topher Grace just walk by and was like, "What's up, guys?" And just like walks out of frame. He's like, "I'm not here. It's fine." It's kind of like the in Spider-Man No Way Home with the whole Andrew Garfield, like what is it? Peter 3, or what is
Venom 3. No, but I know. Getting back to Kraven overall. Have you established if you're seeing it this week? I know you said you got a bunch of other movies.
I will find time to see it. It might not be until like Monday or something like that.
You're gonna be seeing it in the opening weekend, bro.
Yeah, it's just I might be able to squeeze it in Saturday night when I get off of work. That's probably the earliest I can, because Friday I'm going to a concert, so it's not going to happen Friday, and I'm gonna be out of town on Thursday. So it's just not a good week for me to be able to see films during the opening weekend. Saturday night will probably be the soonest I can possibly see it.
Yeah, I'll be seeing it this Thursday. My showing is at 8:00. I'll be going with a buddy of mine. I'm just going optimistic. I do have a strong feeling that this movie is going to be I could be wrong. I hope I don't eat my words, but I feel like this movie is going to be like the Marvels, where that nobody went and watched that movie. A lot of people, and they heard bad like rumblings of it in the theaters, but then when it came to streaming, everybody was like, this is actually a pretty decent movie. So I feel like it's going to be one of those things, which the Marvels, not my favorite Marvel movie.
But nowhere near as bad as people make
it is, but it's still able to, it's a more rewatchable film than a lot of the stuff we've got since Endgame. Yeah. But I'm excited to see it, and I feel like that's ultimately what this movie has to, the hurdle this movie has to face. I think it's going to be a decent film personally, and I think it's going to have to really thrive off word of mouth. And a movie's struggling in today's market when it doesn't even have a popcorn bucket, because every movie is getting a fancy popcorn bucket. I was expecting.
You're right. I didn't realize that.
We got nothing. I thought we'd get like a rhino head or something, which I'm a sucker. I mean, the Venom movie was trash, but I still bought the Venom head bucket. If there was a rhino bucket, I would buy it. Like every movie,
didn't want to put up the money. They're like that's how they're giving up.
But that's how they would make their money. People would buy the bucket and they make their money off the bucket. Like come on, we're in the age of the popcorn buckets, and there's no bucket for this movie. At least that I've seen, nobody's advertised it.
You know what it was? They knew they were competing with that Lord of the Rings one because it's the same.
The freaking hammer, like
they're like, no, I'm not competing with that.
Nope. And then you got the Mufasa one where it's literally Mufasa on the. The
Pride Rock,
Pride Rock. It's just like, geez. Yeah, no, I'll be seeing it Thursday. I'm being optimistic. I'm a Marvel fanboy at heart, so I have to watch everything when it comes out, whether it's good or bad. Although the only one I didn't go watch was Madam Web, and I watched that on Amazon Prime. But that one I feel like
you missed out, buddy. You just,
Well, no, like I told you, I ended up buying that movie and didn't
I
freaking
know,
realize
and I
it.
still can't.
And I was so
believe
pissed off because I had an Amazon gift card and it was tied to my account and I didn't put two and two together when it showed $0 from Madam Web. Like, oh, it's on discount or something.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I watched it and then I went, oh no, they took $20 out of my gift card. So I freaking bought the damn movie. I'm like, Jesus,
That's like the fact that I own digital copies of both Venom 1 and Venom 2. When the third one comes out, it's going to bug me that I'm not buying the third one to complete the set, if you will.
It's not Madam Web. Don't buy Madam Web, but you can buy Venom.
I will buy Venom 3 like whenever it was Voodoo, now it's Fandango at home. Does like, and it's like $5. Sure, I'll throw it in the queue or something like that. But that is not.
Digitally, or you buy like the physical media?
Do what?
Do you buy it digitally or the physical media?
9 times out of 10, it's digital. I used to have a lot of physical media, and I will get back into it to a certain degree, but only very specific things. Am I going to spend the money on physical media? And it's mostly because it's expensive, because I would do like some of the steel books and the 4Ks.
Got a whole pile of steel books down here.
Yeah, like I eventually want to have like the 4Ks for Star Wars, and maybe some of the ones they've done for some of the series and things like that. The things that I feel like I absolutely need, like a physical copy backup, then I'll do it. And I still have some of my old ones, but for the most part, I have over 300 or more digital movies or something like that. That's the bulk of my collection. So.
No, I'm pretty much sticking to when it comes to physical media, because people make fun of me for still buying it, but like, hey, when our Wi-Fi goes out or whatever, you have internet problems, you can still watch it. So I still
and the rights thing is crazy. Sometimes these movies, even when you own them digitally, they can still take them from you.
Yeah, no. If you buy the physical one, it comes with a digital copy anyway, so you get best of both worlds.
Right, exactly.
But yeah, guys, that's about it on Kraven. Unfortunately, it is being pulled from theaters the week that it's being dropped, that it's supposed to release. It's not getting any of the typical Marvel love that it would get. Theaters do not have any faith in it. Like I said, it was like over 1,000 theaters that it was removed from, and there's barely any showings at most of the theaters that I'm looking at. Like I said, for mine, there was 4 showings opening on Thursday. Only 4 showings, which is ridiculous. Usually they only have 2 or 3 theaters, packed out.
Do me a favor with that. Check Friday. I'm just curious, like how many for Friday?
For Friday?
Yeah,
I'll have to check on that after the show.
Yeah.
But yeah, for Thursday, there was none.
I'm curious on a full day's docket, it would probably be no more than 6 or something like that if they're only doing 4 for opening night. You know what I mean? Like,
how do you feel about this one? Do you think the Marvels was better, or just the first Captain Marvel?
Oh, that's a good question.
I gotta say probably the second one, because I love Kamala.
Yeah,
the actress.
That's the thing that really sold that movie for me, was Miss Marvel.
Yeah,
being a part of it and stuff like that. I never loved Captain Marvel, and it's one of those, like, is down there on my list of, like, MCU movies and stuff like that.
I don't have a strong rewatch. Like, it's not something I put on the background, unfortunately.
Yeah, like, I don't hate it, but I think I would probably rewatch the Marvels more than I would Captain Marvel. I feel like
this is an easy one, the Marvels, because
Marvels.
This yeah.
Now if you were saying the first Wonder Woman, that's not even a question. The first Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
But Wonder Woman 84, yeesh.
Yeah. And I agree with Kennedy. It did feel like a kind of a sequel to the Miss Marvel series, but
yeah, it was Miss Marvel 1.5. I like that.
Yeah, no, it was. I feel like Kraven's gonna get that treatment where not a lot of people are gonna see it, and then when it comes into the streaming, they're gonna realize that the movie was good. But yeah, guys, let us know down below in the comments how you feel about Kraven the Hunter being pulled from theaters. Are you gonna go watch it this week, or are you gonna wait till streaming? We want to hear from all you guys, so let us know in the chat, and if you're watching replay, let us know down below in the comments how you feel about that. But getting into our main topic of the night or evening, the thing that we all want to talk about, and what literally had me jumping out of my chair last night, is the fact that the King himself, Chris Evans, Captain America, is coming back to the MCU for Avengers Doomsday. Honestly, I was pretty shocked about that. Secret Wars was a given, but I thought maybe Doomsday was going to be more focused on the newer Avengers, and then Secret Wars going to be all the cameos and whatnot. But the King is back. As much as Iron Man's my favorite character, My sister and my fiance say you make no sense. Iron Man's your favorite, but you get more excited over stuff about Chris Evans than you do Robert Downey Jr., and it doesn't make any sense. I don't know what it is, but I'm excited that the King's back. How do you feel about this news? There's a lot of people who are saying, oh, Marvel's selling out, or Marvel's, they don't have faith in their newer characters and whatnot, or they need to focus on newer characters, which blows my mind that people are even saying that, because all Phase 4 and all Phase 5 have been is newer characters. They barely have, they introduce a character and then we don't see that character again because they're too busy, introducing a new character. We haven't seen Shang-Chi. We haven't seen any of that. So the fact that people are saying that they need to focus on more characters instead of bringing the OGs back and it's a sellout blows my absolute mind. It makes no sense to me. But the King is back and I'm excited.
I get where some people are coming from, where it's a bit of a cop-out. Obviously, you mentioned we all knew he was coming back for Secret Wars and everything like that. I guess...
Yes, Chris Evans will be King.
I mean, Robert Downey Jr. is not a variant of of himself and playing a completely different character. So who knows? No, that would be so dumb. He's clearly where all the images that people keep sharing and stuff like that. We're clearly setting up evil Cap, if you will.
Yeah, Hydra Cap. That's right.
Thing. So that.
See, I think it'll go two routes. I think we'll I think we'll get to see Hydra Cap, and he'll be teaming up with RDJ's Doctor Doom. That makes sense. Or I strongly believe that we're gonna see our version of Steve Rogers, and they're gonna touch back. How in Endgame when he left with all the stones and he was traveling. I want to see that journey.
Yes, that's the one thing I'm most hyped about. Is I'm like the opportunity that it presents itself by him coming back to Marvel, that we could see that as a series, like people have talked about, or whatever. I don't think it would be a film.
Do that series, and then have when he's done putting all the stones back, or whatever, however, because I need to see it, because a lot of that doesn't make sense. How do you do Vormir? How do you do all that? So, right. And I want to see the interaction with the Red Skull, but and then he shows up afterwards. And he shows up on Battle World Secret Wars, because the universe that he knows and loves is completely gone. And now there's RDJ Doctor Doom taking over everything, and there's an evil version of himself. I want to see that.
Yeah, that's where my head was at too. Was this just opens the door for that possibility to maybe come to fruition finally, that everyone's been talking about since Endgame happened. That this is what we want to see, and the whole story part of him coming back, like we said, it's clearly Hydra Cap and stuff like that in some way, shape, or form. So it's interesting that I think here's the thing that does kind of upset me a little bit. Not that because he's coming back, but it's more because they doubled down on the fact that the RDJ thing is not a version of Tony Stark, and that it's actually Victor Von Doom and stuff like that. And there's still a way that they can be oh, well, in this world, the guy who looks like Tony Stark just happens to be called Victor Von Doom. I don't know. But
cut you off. Have you heard that theory? A lot of theory that people, and I hate it. I hate the theory. Mm-hmm. Josh from Den of Nerds, one of my favorite YouTube channels that I watch all the time. He's standing by. He believes that this is what they're going to do. He believes that the Tony Stark that we follow throughout the Infinity Saga was actually Victor Von Doom the whole time, and he was just adopted as a baby. The Tony Stark died or whatever, and then they adopted a new, and they named him Tony or whatever, but it was really Victor Von Doom the entire time. And then he's so I personally would hate that.
I mean, I get why you feel that way, and I have mixed feelings. It creates a very convoluted way to explain the situation, mm-hmm. but at least it would make sense. I don't know, but that's why
he thinks that Tony, or they had the Starks had a child and they died at birth or whatever, and then they adopted a boy from Latveria, and then they raised him, and then that the Doctor Doom that we're going to see in Doomsday is gonna see that a variant of himself grew up as a Stark, and it's going to piss him off and whatnot, because
they've got a lot of explaining to do. That's all I can really
personally, I think people are overcomplicating. I think it's just a Doctor Doom that happens to look like Tony Stark.
I know.
I really think that's what they're going to do. I think they did some testing. They feel like Robert Downey Jr. can portray a fantastic Doctor Doom, which I don't doubt it whatsoever. Like, it's the multiverse. Literally anything can happen. There can be any changes.
Well, it's just because now we have him and Chris Evans coming back, and so like I almost feel like now it is almost a missed opportunity with him not being like an evil Tony Stark or something like that. The fact that we're going to have an evil Cap and all that kind of stuff, and who knows what else we might see with Doomsday / Secret Wars, and stuff like that. So that's the only reason that I'm even like worried about it at this point, because I've kind of just like, after the first couple weeks of like processing that whole announcement, I've kind of just been like, I'm just gonna
let them cook.
Yeah, let them work. And but this announcement has now kind of reawakened that whole thing with me, and that's where my head is at. Is just like, now I'm kind of like, oh man, like if we're gonna lean into bringing back the oldies, if you will, like it would be nice if we were just kind of doubling down on the whole situation, as opposed to this one's actually an evil version, but this one's a completely different person, but played by the same guy. And I don't know.
I know here. No, I do not think Wanda's dead. She's actually, there's rumors of a Scarlet Witch movie. Her being in the Wicked show that they're talking about. So no, she's not dead. I'm excited to see her come back. And as far as Andrew Lincoln goes, I kept hearing rumblings years ago that he was tied to the Magneto role, which I thought that actually be a good kind of fit.
Remind me who Andrew Lincoln is.
He's The Walking Dead, Rick.
Oh, I didn't hear about that.
This was years ago. Like, there was a bunch of fan art of him being Magneto and whatnot. I don't know how true it was. It was just a bunch of fan art.
I don't know.
I love Andrew Lincoln, and I think that he would. I want to see him in the Marvel Universe. I want to see more Rick Grimes. Like, I watched the new Walking Dead show.
There's part of me that really wants them, and I don't know that they'll do it. And we talked about it, I think, on Toy Quest before, and possibly on Retro, about them kind of
100%. We were getting to be under. Sorry. 100%.
Yeah, no, it's okay. Reworking a little bit and modernizing a little bit the story of Magneto, Professor X, and going with what they originally based the comics off of the whole Malcolm X versus, a Martin Luther King scenario type of thing. And I'm not saying it has to be, that they would both have to be black. I'm just saying go with the more modern take type of thing, as opposed to sticking with the, he's a Holocaust survivor type of thing. Not that doesn't hold up to today. It clearly does. But we're getting to a point where we're reaching, like 100 years time wise from that point in time. So it doesn't necessarily work with modern film in the same aspect. And to be able to tell that story in a modern,
I think it's too much of a gap. I mean, he's a mutant. You can say he ages differently.
You could, but you would have to add that to his character, because up until this point, we didn't fully. Has never really been addressed, at least not in the movie versions. I don't know about the comic ones. They probably do in that point, because they have to explain why he's still around after all this time. But so that could easily be written off. But I'm just saying, maybe we do something like that, and how we've talked about, like, if they did want to go with, there was talk of like Giancarlo Esposito as Professor X, and then like, if you wanted to really lean into the whole Malcolm X, Martin Luther King aspect, maybe getting somebody like, and I'm not saying it had to be him, because I don't think it would be him, but someone of the caliber of, why can't I think of his name? He's in the Gladiator 2 now. Denzel. Yeah.
How do you forget Denzel Washington?
I don't know. My mind just went completely blank.
You're not gonna do that, because I gotta get better about staying on top of the news. But a few weeks ago, he kind of spoiled that he's in the next Black Panther movie. So.
Yeah, I did hear about that. I don't think he's Magneto, but he would be a cool Magneto. I gotta say that. Like, I don't love everything Denzel does, but man, like, he is obviously a world-class actor.
I personally, I know we're getting off from Cap, but I want to see him play a older T'Challa in the multiverse, be an older Black Panther. I feel like he could play a very menacing, intellectual, like you could feel his presence on screen. Like nobody would want to mess with him. Black Panther. Like I feel like he has that kind of demeanor to him.
We have this.
Yeah, this is the question for you.
Yeah, I'm looking and I'm like, we have some interesting questions popping. I don't know. Like, I didn't make Star Wars. Ask George Lucas. Like,
in your opinion, do you think they can pass through
force fields? Lightsaber pass through force fields, cut through. I don't know, because it's a light versus a light. You know what I mean? Like you're talking a light shield versus a light sword. I don't know. That's the best thing I could come up with on the spot. I appreciate the question, I guess, but you're asking the wrong person.
He just looks like he likes Star Wars, but he really knows nothing about Star Wars.
No, these are fakes. It's just for show.
No, I don't think Jonathan Majors is back as king. I think the charges that were dropped, it's not the same charges that got him fired. It's a whole different thing.
And that ship has sailed. Like I know that
anything will get a little cameo of maybe Doctor Doom killing him or something. I feel like we need that at least.
We do. They wrote it off in what was it? In Deadpool, was it that they were like they kind of mentioned the whole Kang situation, talking about I forget what it was, or was it Loki?
Loki season 2, the post. They're like there was an issue with a variant in Earth 616 Jason realm, the Quantumania movie. But he's like they took care of it, like they just brushed it off.
Yeah, that we've talked about it before. I would love to see a Doctor Doom thing where he comes in and just obliterates
goes to the Council of Kings. You see them all at that stadium and just
gone. Like that would be such a cool.
That'll be they should how they did the whole intro to Infinity War where Thanos kicks the crap out of Hulk and kills Loki.
Yes.
That'll be a way to make an entrance right then and there. Just annihilate 100%. The entire Council of Kings.
Firing Jonathan Majors and pretending to take a moral stance. Renner when he faced abuse allegations from his ex-wife. There's a difference though. If you're going strictly off of allegations versus actually being convicted, that's the difference. He was charged, went through the courts, and they waited till the hearing was done and he was convicted.
Yeah, I'll give them that. Everybody else dropped Majors that day. Marvel needs to waited till right when it was.
It's kind of like we've talked about the comparison of him and Johnny Depp. Everyone dropped Johnny Depp before everything came out, even through the courts. They weren't even done with all the hearing stuff, and just the fact that he was going to court for it, everyone dropped him. Now a lot of people are backpedaling and trying to get him back. Like there's even talk about Disney trying to bring him back for possibly another Pirates movie, which is not necessary.
Yeah,
but that's just one example. Like I've always said that I'm very disappointed that Warner Brothers dropped him from the Fantastic Beasts line. As much as I love Mickelson as an actor, it was just such a weird switch for that. Had we had him from the get, cool. But going from one to the other, completely changing his look and his hair and not even addressing it was so bizarre.
Speaking of changing his look and his hair, how do you think they're going to feel when they see a Hydra cap or a different version cap on screen? You know, that was a good transition back.
We got to get back to it sometime. They're going to have to change his look. I wonder. I know not that he's old or anything like that, but because he is getting older, are they going to make him beef up, or is it just going to be more like? Do you think it'll be digitally done, or do you think
they can do a muscle suit like they do for Commander?
Yeah, or is it going to be more of a slim down? I feel like you have to beef him up, like more so than he even normally looks.
Well, I mean, he looks pretty much the same as Hydra Cap. He just has like a different suit, and it's like black and red. He says how Hydra. Yeah. But again, we don't even know if that's the route they're going. Nope, like that wasn't even confirmed. People are just speculating that because that would make sense since they're just putting 2 and 2 together. Since we have an evil RDJ popping up as Doctor Doom, that we're gonna get an evil Chris Evans character or whatnot. It could literally just be our Chris Evans or Cap that we follow through Endgame, coming back after Return of the Stones or whatever. Because there was the whole old man Cap, which I feel like that alone makes it kind of complicated because when he went and returned the Stones and he was with Peggy Carter at the end, that was an alternate timeline he created. That wasn't the same universe. That wasn't the 616. That was a branch reality that he created since he did that. So how is there an old man Cap that had those same experiences when we watched our Peggy Carter die and other like there's like a whole loophole with that. But it could simply just be that, we're going to see how that journey took with Cap returning the stones and he pops up in Battle World or at the events of Doomsday, because it could also just be he's in the post-credit scene that sets up Secret Wars. He might not even be in the full movie.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I guess it would be easy, like just touching on your whole thing of like the look, like for him just change the costume. But I feel like we should really like find a way to kind of differentiate where he doesn't just look like a carbon copy in a green outfit or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
just
make
like
him more,
just some subtle changes here and there.
Give him a more scruffy beard.
Mm-hmm.
Have him like kind of give him kind of take that Infinity War look and add to it.
Yeah, like scars.
Arc like a clean cut, professional Cap.
Yeah,
with the scars. Maybe add some like make him look like Red Guardian. Give him.
I would say that, or like the not how his character ended up looking, but like how Frank Grillo looks. I think, is that his name? The guy that played that we think dies in Cap 2 and then comes back at the beginning of Civil War as but only for the beginning.
Why am I drawing a blank? I know who you're talking about, but yeah. He's
that actor, the way that he looks,
he was Crossbones in Civil War.
Crossbones, yes. That actor, the way that he looks with the kind of like, like scruffy stubble look, and he's kind of like beat up and scarred up a little bit type of thing. Like, give him that sort of a look, in my opinion, for like a Hydra Cap, I think would work really well. He's actually now over at DC. That actor is for that Creature Commando show.
Which I need to check that out still.
I just watched the first 2 episodes. It's not what I thought it was going to be. It's definitely like, well, I should have expected because it's James Gunn and it's a little out there. But the fact that we're setting these characters up in animation, but they will get transfer into live action as well, is really weird to think about with the world that they're setting up with this animated show. So it's kind of bizarre in that regard.
Sorry, I got a message real quick. But yeah, no, I still need to check it out. I kind of like that it's the same voice actors in the animation. It creates a nice creates a nice through line. I like that. But as far as Cap goes, I'm just, like I said, I'm excited to. I kind of wish that they did the whole Wolf thing with Andrew Garfield and made that a surprise, even though we knew it was going to happen. But since Marvel's already out announcing it, it's going to be a big role. And the only thing that kind of sucks is I really wish that they did a better job at making us, connect and care with these newer characters. Like, we should have a new Avengers team by now. And then, like, they should have done a better job, elevating those characters, and then bringing in the OGs just elevates that.
Yeah, they could have done
that. That's why people feel like it's just them selling out. Like, oh, the new stuff's not working. Let's bring the OG people back.
Yeah, they should have done either like a West Coast Avengers or actually get to Young Avengers before we're like, going on to the whole Secret Wars stuff type of thing. We should have had something of a team up movie in that.
Sam Wilson's going to form the Avengers, supposedly. I haven't seen the movie yet, but in the Brave New World, Captain America coming up in February, at the end of it, he's supposed to form some form of Avengers team. So he's finally forming his own team. And then now Cap's going to pop up. I felt like we should have already had an established team. Sam Wilson should have been more prevalent in the fold ever since Falcon the Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Even if it was just a small cameo, he should have had more kisses. Captain America, he should have been, involved in and kind of made that through, like, to connect the tissue for everything. We should have seen more of Shang-Chi. Like, there's a lot of characters that I wish we would see more of. Like, I want to see more Moon Knight. I want to see, not all of them. I feel like some of them didn't land well, and we can kind of go without characters like Sam Wilson Cap, which I do like Anthony Mackie a lot. I think he hasn't really given the time to shine. His show got kind of messed up due to COVID, so it's not the best, rated Disney Plus show. And I know this movie's under a lot of heat with all the reshoots and whatnot, but I'm still, very optimistic. The Captain America franchise is my favorite franchise in the whole MCU, so I'm excited to see, it carry on through some new eyes. But I just feel like people need to give him some time to, let him cook. Let him, because he was Captain America for like 2 seconds in Falcon and Winter Soldier, and all he really did was do a speech. Everything that he filmed, because it had to do, that whole show had to do with the whole pandemic, and they couldn't do it because of COVID. They're like, it's too soon. So that whole show got like chopped up and was a mess. So let's just see what he does in this movie. I think he's going to be a fantastic Cap. I'm excited to see what he has to offer. But it is weird that we're finally getting, an idea of what our new Captain America looks like, and then immediately they're going to bring the new one in. That's why I think they might do the whole, Hydra Cap to change it up. But it's Secret Wars, so we're gonna see, because it's a celebration of all things Marvel up to that point. So we're gonna see that version of Cap. I would assume so, at least, that we all grown to love throughout the Infinity Saga and at least Secret Wars.
For sure.
But yeah, no. What are your overall? Are you excited to see him, man? I feel like your level of excitement is not on there. Once they said Chris Evans is back, I jumped out of my seat, bro.
I'm not.
You're a hater. We got a hater.
I'm
we
not
got
as
a hater.
Excited. No, listen. I'm not as excited as you, because I'm more just surprised that he's showing up in Doomsday. It's not like I'm surprised he's coming back. I'm just more surprised at when he's coming back. You know what I mean? Like that's my whole thing, is just
supposed to be on my level of excitement, man. It's the king. All right.
It's just one of those. It's just kind of one of those. Yeah. Okay. I kind of see that. Like, again, I'm surprised at which movie he's showing up in first, but we all knew he was coming back for Secret Wars in some capacity. So it was just kind of like, oh, okay. So he's just coming back a little bit sooner. Like, I'm happy he's coming back. He obviously, Cap, great character. Chris Evans, great actor, all that kind of stuff. Like, whatever version of Cap he's doing in this, probably evil. He'll do a good job. And I love seeing him pop up and stuff, whether he's coming back as Johnny Storm for a few minutes, or, seeing him in things like Knives Out. Love that movie.
Do you think we'll see his Johnny Storm and his Cap side by side in Secret Wars?
No, because I think even if it's not the same Johnny Storm per se, that Johnny Storm's dead. But but spoiler alert. But but if it wasn't that version of Johnny Storm, maybe we could still.
It's gonna be reversed. Deadpool's gonna walk up to Chris Evans' character in Secret Wars and think he's about to say "Flame on." He's like, "Oh, here we go again," and he says "Avengers Assemble." He's like, "Oh, you finally said it."
He would just be like, he'd look at the camera, and go, "I'm so wet right now." It's like one of those. Like,
I don't know if he can do that in those movies.
Probably not.
He can probably. I don't know. I'm very curious to see how they're going to handle Deadpool going forward, because Ryan Reynolds has recently done an interview where he's like, he doesn't see Deadpool being another, forefront of a movie. He's going to be more of a side character, popping other people's movies. So like, I could see where he's coming from with that, but I think, I don't know how they're going to handle that, but I think that's how that interaction is going to go. He's going to see Cap and he's going to assume he's about to say Flame on. He's like, oh, here we go again. And then he's going to say Avengers Assemble, and then he's going to lose he's going to freak out. I guarantee
that would be a fun callback for sure.
That would be, but no, I'm excited, man. I think Marvel's cooking up some good stuff. They've had a rough couple years. They've had some bangers here and there. Deadpool was obviously great. I think Agatha was a lot better than I anticipated it to be. Captain America might be a struggle. I think Thunderbolts looks super fun. And then of course we have Fantastic Four. So we got a good year of Marvel ahead of us, and I'm just excited to see what they're cooking up. And like I said, the king is back, and that just means we need Scarlett Johansson to sign back on some way, shape, or form, so she can come back too, and we can just have our OGs back and see them one last time before they kind of soft reboot everything into the mutant saga or whatever they're going to call it afterwards.
Yeah, I think at this point, like, I am excited to see what happens. I'm excited to get to Secret Wars, but I'm almost
bruh.
What? Come back.
Come back. I wonder if they would like CGI.
You people are so unhinged. I'm almost more excited for us to actually get to the mutant saga to a certain extent, because I want to see what a MCU, even a new version of MCU, like Disney Marvel take on the X-Men would be, beyond the whole them doing X-Men 97 type of thing. Like, I want to see a version of that in live action.
Yeah, I want to see the X-Men interact with the Avengers and like vice versa.
It's like, but I also understand that I actually kind of get why we need to soft reboot the universe in order to do it, like properly at this point, as opposed to shoehorning them in a little bit like they were kind of setting up with the end of Miss Marvel and stuff like that. I don't want them to have to do that and then like back explain, where they've been this whole time and that sort of thing.
Like they with the Eternals.
Yeah, I'd rather, and honestly, that one makes more sense because they're just hiding, and but like that's a small team as opposed to mutants cover the entire Earth. So
there's a whole comic line that they might do with it's called Judgment Day, where it's like the Eternals view the mutants as like deviants, like they're part of the deviant team. So the Eternals fight the X-Men, and it's a whole comic story. It's actually
the X-Men are always the bad guys, if you will, because that's how people see mutants, and that's why it's such a poignant like story that spans time, and every generation has something that they can connect to in one way, shape, or form because of it. And that's why X-Men works and continues to work. And even when the movies aren't as good as they should be, people can find things to really latch onto. And that's why I really want to see that in a modern day, like I said, Disney Marvel take on that, because I know they would do a good job with it. And so that's why part of me is just a little bit more excited, I think, for us to finally get to that point. Just because I know that there's some good that could come of it down the line. Because, we've kind of talked about before, like, I'm not full on Marvel fatigue, but I am just kind of like, with what they've done in this phase, I just kind of
don't even say it, bro.
No. I'm just saying,
bro.
With what they've done with this phase, I'm kind of like, can we just get there? You know what I mean? Like, we haven't done a really good job with the whole multiverse saga.
No, we haven't, unfortunately.
And so at this point, it's kind of the Deadpool joke, like, can we get there, or are we done yet? type of thing. Like, and it sucks because I want to be excited. The multiverse thing,
they barely touched it. There's so many good stories they can do.
And eventually, barely scratched the surface. Jumping to the end, we could have done this for several years of like really good stuff. And now we're just like, nope, we're just going to jump straight to Secret Wars and reboot. You know what I mean? Like,
they fumbled the back, but at least they're acknowledging it and not keeping it going like Sony does with their universe. They're just not taking the L's. Like, they're like, you know what, this isn't working. We have we have a way forward. Let's just get to our way forward, and we can get back to what the MCU used to be. And I really do think, like I said, I think this year's I think it's going to be a good year for Marvel. We got Captain America coming up, then Thunderbolts afterwards. And I think Fantastic Four is going to be super fun. And then next year, like right after that, we get right into the Avengers movies. And then we're finally going to see what's going on with like Spider-Man 4, our first look at Doctor Doom. So I think the next 2-3 years, it's going to be a good time for Marvel.
And it's what? Is it like a 2-year gap between Doomsday and Secret Wars? Is that a year? Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if they had changed that once they changed the name. And everything.
Being the whole Infinity War Endgame treatment. They're just not. They're not filming them back to back, like at the same time. I think the Roots has said that they're filming one, and then they get like a 2-month break, and they're filming the other one. So it's not like at the same exact time.
Gotcha.
But yeah, guys. With all that being said, let us know down below how you feel about the return of our king. Me personally, I'm super excited. Andrew here's being a Debbie Downer, but he'll get on board. I'm super excited to see Chris Evans back as Cap. He's one of the OGs, and it just hasn't felt the same since our OGs. So let us know down below in the comments your overall thoughts. Are you excited to see him? Do you completely hate it? And how do you think he's going to return? Do you think it's going to be Hydra Cap, or do you think it's going to be the Cap that we all loved, and we finally get to see that story of him returning the Infinity Stones? We want to hear your thoughts down in the comments, and we appreciate y'all's feedback. But yeah, guys, that's going to be it for today's show. This was definitely a lot of fun. I gotta work on our whole schedule. I know I originally said I was going to do this stuff on Thursdays. Right now, I'm still trying to figure that out. I don't think Thursdays are going to work, at least at that time, because Andrew can't make it that time. And I like to have a co-host to kind of talk back and forth with. So I'm still trying to figure it out. This is going to be a more regular thing, but as far as the weekly part goes, I'm still trying to figure out a date and time for that. But we'll get to it. 2025 is going to be a big year for us. We're going to be very, very focused on this and staying on top of things for you guys. But yeah, I appreciate your time hanging out with us today, Andrew. Hopefully we can, do this sometime soon again.
Yeah, absolutely. Be sure to, follow Josh, follow this channel, check out my stuff over at our other channel, Retroactive POD here on YouTube. You can follow me on all the socials at Andrew is Losing. stay up to date. Like you said, this is a weird time of year with the holidays and everything like that. Everybody's schedule's a little chaotic, but I'm sure once 2025 kicks off, it'll be a little bit easier. So
we'll get better structure going on, because I do really need to be better about staying on top of this stuff, because I do enjoy talking about movies, pop culture, and especially Marvel. Yeah, guys, that'll be our show today. Appreciate you guys taking the time to check us out. Don't forget that like button, subscribe to the channel your way out, and we'll see you guys in the next video.